Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I am Grace. So happy that you are here today to practice. This will be a floor practice. This is week 1. We're going to be practicing some hip openers. And we're focusing this week on self-love, listening to this voice inside of us. And if it is not kind, it's not loving, it's not complimenting us and empowering us and inspiring us, and making us feel good, we're not going to listen to that voice, because we wouldn't listen to an external person if they were being unkind. And so we're not going to listen to these voices inside that may put us down or tell us we did it wrong, or we're not good enough, or doubt us, or feel less than, or anything like that, or tell us we did it wrong and bad, or put shame or fault on us. So we're letting all of that go, so we can clear up space and an opening for deeper and deeper self-love. And this week, the focus is our physical body. We're moving in the asana. So asana is the physical body, the physical poses, the physical postures. And we move to the divine self, the cosmic self. We move into those samadhi states by starting in asana. This is Patanjali's 8 limbs. He has the yamas and the niyamas, and then we move into asana. And this is the way we move from asana, pranayama, we move into meditation, we move into pratyahara, and then we move into concentration and meditation, and then samadhi. So we're really using the yogic principles to move through these practices. And this whole week is asana. Next week will be the 4th limb of Patanjali's, which is pranayama. We'll be focusing on the pranayama, the breath. But for this week, we're in the body. So let's begin the practice, taking a moment to feel those sits bones connected to the earth, and taking a moment to really check in, just scanning the body, check in with the physical body first. How does it feel to be in this body? How does the physical body feel? Scan all the way from the head, neck, chest, the arms, the shoulders, back of the body, the front, the ribs, the abdomen. Bring in your awareness to the pelvis, the hips, the upper legs, the front, the back. Awareness of the knees, and knee joint, front and the back. And the lower leg, the shins, calves, the ankles, the feet, both feet, scanning those feet, those toes. Just feeling a sense of awareness of this physical body, 365 degrees. The more we can connect with the physical, the more we can move into that sacred embodiment. We don't want to be disconnected from the physical, not realize that we are a body, because we are animating through this physicality. This is the vehicle we're experiencing through. We don't want to negate it. It's the doorway through. It's not what we are in total, but this is the present moment experience. And I invite you to take a nice deep breath into the lower belly, abdominal breathing. Fully present in the body. Continuing to scan, noticing what you feel, sensations, energy-wise, and diving even deeper inward, noticing the inner aliveness, the pulsation of the heart beating, the vibrancy within you. And noticing the emotional landscape, without having to describe the emotions or label them, feeling, moving into the felt sense of what is charging through you emotionally. Comfortable or uncomfortable, feeling it fully, bring it on, leaning into it, no judgment, letting it arise, whatever you're experiencing here now. And as we continue to breathe, we're going to create an intention for ourselves for this day, for this practice, for this yoga teacher training, for this month, whatever it is you are wanting to intend. So creating that intention in the positive and in the present moment. So if it's a relationship, I have the relationship of my dreams now. I have financial stability now. I have the home of my dreams. I feel the joy of my inner aliveness now. I feel peace with this relationship now. Creating your intention and taking a moment to do a little mental rehearsal. Everything needs to be mentally architect, even physical buildings, everything first starts in the imagination. Feeling those same emotions now, as if that intention is fully manifest. And take a moment in silence as you focus on this intention and see in your mind's eye and feel that fully manifest. And releasing this intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. So welcome to our floor practice. And we are going to begin in a child's pose. So finding yourself in a child's pose, you can have those knees separated a little bit so you can relax the belly between the legs. The arms can be extended out, or you can bring the arms alongside you. You can have them folded in front, or just rest in child's pose for a few moments, taking some breaths. And on your next inhale, we're going to come up and we're going to move into a table pose. So we're going to be on the floor. Just move into some cat-cow, warming up the spine. Cow is extension of the spine, arching the back, lifting the head. My wrists are under my shoulders, the knees are under the hips. And then moving into the cat as we lift and round that back like a Halloween cat, drop the head, tuck the tail, moving back and forth from cat and cow, flexion and extension of the spine. Inhaling in your cow, your extension, and exhaling in your cat. And spread those fingers a little bit. Really important to move the spine. Keep the spine flexible, young. It activates our main energy channel, the Sushumna, when we move the spine. Sushumna is part of our nadi system. And the next time you get into cat, let's bring the hips back and making some spontaneous movements and stretches that feel good. Keeping the breath flowing. And moving into your cow and making any little movements that might feel good. Sometimes I like to wag my tail. And just finding your own pace as you move back and forth into cat-cow, adding the stretches and movements, maybe even some circles with the hips. Keeping that breath flowing and coming back to center. Beautiful job. And I'm gonna face you again. Face me. We're gonna start in our Baddha Konasana. This is the butterfly pose, bringing the feet together, wrapping the hands around the feet and starting to flap those butterfly wings. It's a gentle opening of the hips, warming them up before we move into some deeper hip openers. Slowing that down, and then seeing if you can bring those legs closer to the earth as you lengthen the spine. You can gently engage those bandhas, especially that Mula Bandha, feel a gentle engagement. Inhaling, and then exhaling, folding forward. Noticing that hip joint, both hips and the sensations. And we never force, we never push, we never move into pain. If you move into pain, always back off immediately. If you ever need a rest, you can always come to a seated position. You can just stop and lay on your back. But you're always welcome to take a rest if you need. So find that gentle edge, playing the edge in yoga. We rest on that edge where we're challenging ourselves just a little, but we're not forcing ourselves. This is what creates flexibility over time. You keep practicing, you keep resting on this gentle edge. Before you know it, you're more and more and more flexible. And then if you like to, you can bring your hands down to the floor, noticing the sensations in your physical body, the hip opening, and breathe. And one more breath. And the next inhale, coming up. Beautiful job. Beautiful job. And we're going to come up onto our knees. And we're going to move into hero pose. I showed you this a little bit on our first yin when I went over some of the seated poses. But we can I didn't use a block thing. You can take a block and put it between your knees and sit on the block. It's really interesting on my camera. It looks like my hair is blue. I need to get a new camera. It's broken. I'm using the computer camera. But when we sit on this block, it really opens up the hips and makes hero pose really comfortable for people that can't even get into it. Now, if you want to challenge yourself more, you cannot use a block or not use a prop. You can sit on the soles of your feet. And then if you want to challenge yourself even more, you can bring these legs out and come all the way down. Now my buttocks is right on the earth. My legs are right beside me. And just take a moment, whichever hero pose you've chosen is best for your body. Just take a few moments to breathe, noticing the sensations in your body. Remembering you can come out at any time. Take one more breath here. Beautiful job. And we're going to move up. We're going to move into our table again. And we're going to take the right leg in front. Left leg we can bring back a little bit. Just move into a nice low lunge. Drop this hip down towards the earth. Feeling the sensations as we're gently opening up these hips so that we can be ready and able to move into even deeper hip openers. And if you want to lunge back, feel a nice stretch on that front leg, back leg muscles. Flex and extend the foot. Do that. Move back in and feel that hip drop down, finding your gentle edge. And one more breath here. We're going to move into blaster. So we're going to take this outside hand and we're going to bring it in. Creates a little deeper stretch in that hip joint. And if you want to go even deeper, you can come down to your forearms and breathe. And one more breath here. And then gently coming up. Let's bring the hands on the outside. And we're going to take this front foot. We're going to bend the knee, bringing it parallel to the mat, balancing your body so that you're not flopping over on that right hip. You're balancing up the body pretty even. You can bring your hands forward a little bit into a nice pigeon pose. I feel I get more stretch up here in my pigeon than coming down. So you get to choose whether you want to stay up on your pigeon. I can really feel it in my hip here, finding and adjusting it so it's a nice gentle opening and gentle stretch for you. And if you'd like to, you can come down onto the floor with the arms. And one more breath here. Really basking in all those sensations. And on the next inhale, coming up and bringing that right leg back. And we're going to move into this on the other side. So we're going to bring that left foot up and take that right knee back a little bit and just drop that pelvis and those hips down towards the earth, and feel that gentle opening. And breathe into the belly. You can gently engage those bandhas. With hatha, which is the basic, the first core of yoga, hatha, is we hold the pose. We do some static poses with breath. Give our body time to open, time to integrate, and to allow the benefits of the pose for our body, our mind, and spirit. If you want to lunge back a little and feel a nice stretch on that front leg. Keeping that breath flowing. Keeping the prana moving, the breath flowing, the breath originating from the belly. Through the whole practice, and you can move back into your lunge, dropping those hips, finding your perfect edge, playing the edge. We're not forcing, just allowing the body to gently open. And then as we take that outer hand, left hand in, you can have both hands on the inside here, and our blaster pose, feeling a little deeper stretch on the hips, and noticing the sensations and noticing what arises, because when we're working the hips, we're working the emotional body too. There's a lot of emotions that are stored in our hips, and a lot of emotions get released when we move into hip openers. We like to release emotions out of the body. Lots is stored in the physical body, and moving in yoga will release stored traumas, stuck energy, old energies. And I invite you, if you like, to come down to the forearms in your blaster, only if it feels good, and breathe. And one more breath. And on the next inhale, coming up. And we're going to take this left leg and that knee and bring it in front. The invitation is always to be parallel to the mat, but that doesn't ever happen for most people. So do your best with that front leg. And again, balancing, so you're not flopping over on that left buttocks, but you're balancing yourself up, and feel that opening on that right hip. And breathe. Being open to yourself, connecting with your own being, the sensations and physical body, the emotional body, letting it arise, being that all-loving, compassionate, and empathetic self as you watch and feel what arises in your own being as we open these hips. And whatever arises, we allow to rise and to fall, to pass through. No judgment. No good or bad, right or wrong. You want to come down on your pigeon for a breath or two. And on the next inhale, coming up. Beautiful job. And let's move into our child's pose again. Take a few breaths. And I invite you while you're in your child's pose, bringing the awareness inward, noticing the physical sensations, the energy sensations, the emotions that are rising, and really be there as a support for yourself. And then again, coming up. And we're going to come back onto our buttocks. There are a couple, I believe, a little more challenging hip openers now that we're really warmed up. We can open those legs. We're going to take the right leg and bend it in, parallel to the upper mat. We're going to be flexing the feet. This is called fire log. And then we take the left leg and we're going to line up the ankles and the knees and the ankles and the ankles and the feet. Flexing the feet. Fire log. Inhaling. I have a little space between here. A little flexibility issue. You can put a block or a pillow there. Or just let it. I like letting it just kind of hang because I think over time as I do this, I'll become more and more flexible. Inhaling, lengthening that spine, becoming taller. And then inhaling, hinging forward, finding your gentle edge. Basking in those physical sensations. You're going to feel a lot of sensations in this pose. Remembering to back off if there's any sense of pain. We're never forcing, we're just resting on that gentle edge. And breathe. A gentle engagement of these energy locks, the bandhas we've been learning this week. There's Xander. Beautiful job. One more breath here. And then coming back up. Beautiful. We're going to release those legs. And we're going to go to the other side. So we're going to take this left leg and line it up with the mat. And stack that right leg on top. Flexing the feet, lining up the heels and the ankles in your fire log. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. And on the exhale, hinging forward at the hips. Noticing the sensations in your body. Fully present. Fully in the body. This is our body temple. It houses our divine, cosmic, non-physical, infinite soul power and presence. And breathe. Beautiful job. Inhaling, coming up and releasing the legs. Let's bring them in front of us and just flop them around, wiggle them around, releasing them a little bit. Andrew's always wanting to snuggle. And we're going to move into a little bit more challenging pose. And for me it is. It's called Mandukasana, the frog pose. I love the name because I think of the frog's name is Manduk. We're going to come up onto our knees, open them up a little bit, and we're going to take the lower legs out a little wider than the knees. And then we're going to hinge back. Hinge the body back and noticing the sensations. And breathe. And one more breath here. And then coming forward, bringing those legs back in. And we're going to move in back into a child's pose. Basking in the physical and energetic sensations that have arose and that are arising from these poses. And on the next inhale, coming up, and we're going to move into a camel. This is also a hip opener, camel pose. It's also a back bend, but it can be considered a hip opener as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tuck that tailbone under. So as we go into our back bend, there's a lot of space in this lumbar spine. And then we'll bring the hands to the small of the back, right here by the lumbar vertebrae. Lift the chest and the heart and begin to go into a back bend. And then take those hips and move them forward so they're right over the knees. That brings in the hip opening. And I like to come up onto my toes. You can either stay right here in your camel, or you can come up onto your toes and bring your hands onto the tops of the heels. Chest is open. Keep that head in alignment with the spine. We don't want to drop the head. Just keep it in alignment with the spine. Engage those bandhas and breathe. Noticing the sensation, seeing if you need to move those hips a little further forward to be right over the knees. Feel that hip opening. And one more breath here. Beautiful. And coming up, and we're going to move back, release those toes, and we move back into child's pose again. Opening up the legs and relaxing. Basking in whatever arises, the physical sensations, emotional sensations, the energetic sensations. And giving yourself permission to simply enjoy what's arising in your body. And the next inhale coming up. And we're going to bring those legs forward. And we're going to come onto our backs, resting on our back. And taking a moment to bring those knees into the chest and release and relax that lower back. Can rock back and forth a little bit. And bringing the feet down to the mat. And I'm going to keep this right knee up while I take the left ankle and rest it just above the right knee. We're going to move into four square or supine pigeon. It's a nice hip opener. Gets the hips a little deeper, I think, than even pigeon does. So lifting that right leg, bringing that leg in towards the body, clasping the hands behind the right hamstring, behind the right thigh, and pulling that leg in towards the body. And really feeling a nice hip opening on the left. And find your edge, find your gentle edge, and breathe. Engage those bandhas. Feel the sensations, be fully connected to the body, the physical sensations arising. And one more breath here. And releasing that leg down. Relaxing that left leg. Left foot on the earth, left knee up. And we move over to the other side. So we're going to take the right leg and rest that gently just below the left knee. And then lifting that left leg up, clasping the hands behind the left hamstring, and gently pulling that left leg into the body. Finding your gentle edge as you notice the sensation on the right hip. And holding that for a few breaths as we allow the hips to open even more deeply. Breathing through the belly, gentle engagement of the bandhas. And one more breath here. And then releasing the leg back down to the earth. Let's move into a nice bridge pose now. Not so much of a hip opener, but it's a real nice back bend, heart opening pose. So we're going to move gently into it. We're going to press into the feet and move into two-legged table, just about halfway. Just holding it here and noticing the sensations, noticing what it feels like to have the body in this position. It's not a common position for the body to feel, so just notice that and enjoy the different sensations. And one more breath. And on your exhale, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. From the upper vertebrae, the mid, thoracics, to to the lumbar. Beautiful. And now we're going to press into the feet. We're going to lift up and we're going to move into our bridge. So we're going to lift up. We're going to arch that back. See if you can bring those shoulders underneath you, clasping the hands underneath you, watching the knees so they don't fall apart. Imagining almost you've got a block that your knees are holding between. Can't do that right now. This kind of trains the body. And breathe. And release. Releasing the hands, then the shoulders, coming down one vertebrae at a time. And then let's bring those knees into the chest. Nice little counter pose and rocking back and forth. And then we're going to bring the feet together in a Supta Baddha Konasana, supine butterfly. You bring the feet together, clasping the hands around the feet, and then you can gently pull the feet down towards the earth. Feel that nice hip opening. And breathe. We're going to release those legs. We're going to one at a time, taking a foot out, stretching it a little bit, moving it, noticing the sensations in this leg. You bring it a little closer to the body, further wide, and then moving over to the other leg. And a nice stretch. Keeping that breath flowing. And engage those bandhas gently. And then I invite you to bring both legs out. And feeling a nice stretch here. Moving the legs around a little bit if you like. Maybe a little wider, maybe a little closer in towards the body. Breathing into the belly. Gentle engagement of the bandhas as you lock in the prana. Noticing the physical sensations. And enjoying feeling the body stretch and move. Enjoying being in this physical body. Then we're going to bend the knees, bring them in a little bit, bring them so that they're lined up to your armpits. You don't want to pull them down onto the ribs. You don't want them too wide, but just so they're resting down in the armpits. And we're going to wrap the hands on the outside of the feet and gently pull those feet down towards the earth, finding your gentle edge, noticing the sensation in those hips. This is our baby pose. Not quite in happy baby yet. Keeping the breath flowing, staying connected to the physical sensations. and rolling around a little bit. And then moving into happy baby, just kicking the legs around, moving around, just like you did when you were a baby on your free time for fun. And enjoying all the sensations. And releasing your baby toes and bringing those feet back down onto the earth. We're going to move into a couple releases before we move into Savasana. So our first release that we're going to do is going to be the hula. So find your hip joints right here and start to swivel those hips. So the sacrum, everything's flat out on the earth, nothing's lifting up. The right hip is coming up towards the right shoulder. The left hip is dropping down, reaching down towards the left heel. And then we're going to swivel those hips so that right hip is reaching down towards the right heel. Left one is reaching up towards the left armpit. And find your pace as you simply swivel back and forth, keeping the breath flowing. And then coming back to center. Now we're going to move into hip pointers. So I'm going to root my left hip and left buttocks into the earth as I point that right hip up towards the sky. And that right buttocks will lift up a little, and then I'm going to relax that down. Root that right buttocks into the earth and point that left hip. That's a little gentle twist, nice little release on the hips and lower back. And moving side to side, keeping the breath flowing. Hip pointers. And then coming back to center. And we're going to move now with cat-cow, flexion and extension in a supine position rather than our table. So let's move into cat first. I find it's the easiest. Tucking the tailbone under and feeling the small of the back press into the earth. So you can't even fit your hands under there and just pressing the small of the back and the tailbone's tucked under. That's our flexion, our cat. And then as we move into extension, we're going to arch that back, moving into the extension of the spine. So you feel those spinal processes are extending. Tailbone is sticking into the earth. And I can fit my hands underneath. Sometimes you can't, but the body may be resting on the earth, but the spine is lifted up off the earth. And we move back and forth into flexion and extension, cat-cow on the earth. Keeping the breath flowing and basking in those beautiful sensations. This sacred body temple. The living, holy Holy Grail. You are the temple. This body, this temporary temple, allows the divine spirit of your soul, your cosmic beingness, your non-physicality to animate through. The divine self animates through and enlivens this body temple for growth, experience, learning, deepening. And coming back to center. Beautiful job. And we're going to bring these feet, we're going to keep the knees up, but we're going to bring the feet nice and wide out to the wide edges of the mat. And let's drop one knee at a time in towards the center. Feel that nice stretch, that nice opening. And find your own pace. Single knee drop. And coming back to center. Let's walk those feet back together. Let's drop those knees over to one side. Lifting the top leg. Bringing it all the way to the other side. And then lifting the bottom. Letting it follow. So that's on both over to the other side. And then lifting the top leg. Sometimes it's nice to just take 1 minute when your legs are open. Keeping the breath flowing. And enjoying the sensations in the body. And one more time. And coming back to center. Let's bring those knees into the chest. Releasing and relaxing that lower back as we move into our Savasana relaxation. Finding a nice comfortable position for Savasana on your back if you can. Maybe opening the legs a little in the arms. Feeling the body surrender towards the earth. Letting the earth hold the body. Support the body. And allowing yourself to rest in silent stillness as you allow the whole practice to integrate into your energy body, your emotional body, physical body, mind, body, and spirit. And I will bring you back. Taking a nice deep breath into the belly. Beginning to come back, wiggling the fingers and the toes. Stretching out the arms and the legs. And when you're ready, rolling over to one side. Taking a breath here. And when you're ready, coming up to a seated position. Let's see what we have for time. Oh, perfect. Coming up to that seated position and closing your eyes and diving in and scanning the body again. Noticing how the physical body feels. Maybe even noticing any shifts, any changes from the beginning of practice. Noticing the energy, your energy field. And your emotional being, any shifts in the emotional field. And bringing yourself back to that intention that you set, beginning of practice, and seeing yourself, seeing that intention fully manifest, feeling those exact emotions ahead of time, right now. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. Thank you so much for joining me for this hip opening floor practice with a focus on the physical body with myself and Xander, my little kitty, my inheritance from John. I am Grace with Ecstatic Yoga, wishing you a most beautiful and most blessed day. Namaste. Oh, I'm sorry, Xander.